Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I am Wiso from FootMexSource.com. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican soccer. Lots and lots to talk about today. First of all, for all the moms that watch us, happy Mother's Day yesterday in the United States and in Mexico. Doesn't happen very often. Thank you, moms, if you're watching us.
Feliz Día de las Mamacitas.
There you go. We'll have a packed show today, especially because just a few hours ago, the FMF, Piojo and company did tweet out the list and the links. We'll be talking about the list. We'll also be talking about a crazy weekend with Liga MX. Everyone was biting their nails. If your team was part of the many that if they scored, they either went up in the rankings, or if they didn't, or if they lost, they were out of Liguilla, or maybe you're a UDG fan or maybe a Puebla fan, but lots to talk about. Unlike me, Leon didn't matter this weekend. But if you were fortunate enough to enjoy this weekend, well, we'll be talking a lot about that, about the descenso, and obviously coming up, the Liguilla is here. We have Chivas and America in the Liguilla. Ready to see who becomes champion, not forgetting our bet, but also others that have gone in. Tigres looking very good, an Atlas team that's there also. So lots and lots to talk about on this show, an hour long, and we definitely want you guys to be a part of it in our chat here with in our YouTube channel, so making sure that you're there. But first, let's go say hi to everyone that's here today. We did have Naib Moran scheduled to come on, but he's having a couple of difficulties, but I'm sure he will be on the chat if you have any questions to ask. But let's go ahead and see who is on our show today. From Guadalajara, Mr. Tom Marshall, you know him, Mexico World Cup. Tom, did you have a good weekend? Exciting, right?
Good weekend, yeah. It was a busy weekend with Atlas on Saturday against America, and then Chivas.
Did you go to both of the games?
Sunday. Yeah, I did, yeah. They were good. I mean, both the home teams lost, but, a lot of buzz now around Guadalajara, and really excited about the Clásico Tapatio, which is coming Thursday and Sunday.
Oh, yes. It'd be exciting for you. It's like one game, for you, so you don't have to go to two games in Guadalajara. Right. All right. Let's go over to Mr. Johnny, who has had some time to himself. Told me he was bored when we were doing the pre-show, and he said, I don't do anything. So he's here with us. First of all, Johnny, your table updates, your goals scored. I want to thank you. Everyone was raving about them, every goal. When you didn't doze off and we were wondering where you're at, it was very useful. But Johnny, how are you?
I'm doing good. Still recovering from surgery on my foot. Kind of just hanging out at the house. Kind of bored, but here I am. I got plenty of time to watch the soccer games and do those table updates for everybody. So that was. You know what I do, not to brag, but I'm not the type to do that, but
not at all.
TV stations had teams of people dedicated to doing these live table updates and updating as the games were going on. I mean, they probably had work desk compiled of 5 or 6 people
like
putting
the
up
election.
Those graphics. Yeah. And here I was, one laptop, one guy at home, broken leg. Doing it all.
Well, you broke a leg this weekend. Doing them. So thank you so much. Over to Jason in the East Coast, our East Coast guy, Soccer Mexicana. Jason, no bufandas today. No scarves. You gave us the big. What's going on?
I'm just mixing it up. Next week I'm going to be sitting outside, and then the next week after I'm going to do it in my car. I'm just going to keep changing locations just to keep you guys on your toes.
Nice, Jason. Mm-hmm. Incredible weekend. Maybe not for me and you, but let's just say, Cruz Azul.
It's not even surprising. It doesn't even faze me anymore. It's just like, well, that's what I expect to happen with this game. Like, it was going to go horribly, and it did. So it's about right.
Perfect. You know what? To say anything about it, Cruz Azul, who I think they ran it like kind of a stat. I think if it was regular tournaments like Europe, a long season, Cruz Azul would be have the most championships. So in the heart, morally, Cruz Azul can say he's got the best record in the last, in the history of the Mexican League.
No.
Obviously, should be bragging.
No, for that kind of stat, you check the percentage table. Over the last 3 years, and who's at the top of the percentage table?
I'm talking about a hole.
Yes.
Anyway, this is not Cruz Azul.
Percentages,
Move on.
Move on, Johnny.
Point-
Can you give this
points
guy his day, his night? All right. Did you not feel the pain that he had? Let's go ahead and talk about. Let's go ahead and get started.
No
We're
sympathy.
ready to go.
This is soccer rivalry. There's no sympathy.
No sympathy. Let's go ahead and get started with our. Everyone's been talking about the Copa America, Copa Oro, and the squads that are finally coming on. What a lot of people were just tweeting, looking to see who was going to be on, who was going to be left off. It's been a couple of weeks, and exactly a year ago, I think 3 days ago, exactly a year, Piojo tweeted out and gave his list for the World Cup. So exciting times around the beginning of May in the last 2 years, especially because Copa America, just a great tournament. I still think it's probably the best soccer tournament outside the World Cup. With just the rivalry, with how close it is, with everything that happens. I mean, to have such quality in all the teams that are coming out, I think it's going to be amazing. And with that comes our list. Mexico sending, obviously, I don't like categorizing A's and B's and C's because it's our national team, but obviously all of our strength is going into a Copa Oro squad that should be coming out. But the list is out here at the Mexican Soccer Show. We'll be talking about it. And definitely all of you guys on the chat to hear your reactions on what you have. Here is, before we take out the list, obviously you can see this is the Copa America and the groups. Group A, Mexico, Chile, Mexico, Ecuador, and Bolivia. It's already out there, obviously. Group B, Argentina, pretty much heading off in Group C. But interesting enough, I mean, to you guys, it's pretty hard not to make it out of the Copa America, especially the first round, even though we didn't do that last time. But should we say, with this squad, before we go into it, with this squad, can we make it out of the first group?
I think it'll take a very good performance. Looking at the squad that he's put out there, and looking at I know Bolivia are quite weak. Ecuador, I think, are a decent side, but then Chile are a very good side, and all three. The entire focus since the World Cup has been Copa America, and Mexico's the opposite. Mexico's all focused on the Gold Cup, and Copa America's this like kind of thing on the side, and I think it's going to be a struggle. Not saying they can't do it, but it's going to be a struggle.
I think considering the first two of every group plus the two best third places go through, and the fact that we have Bolivia in our group, it'd be very, very embarrassing if Mexico do not make it out of the group stage. Yeah. I think it is an obligation to make it out of the group stage, and I think if Miguel Herrera could be on the line if he doesn't.
So we're looking at 4 teams that do not make it. If you're looking at the little screen here, I mean, just off the bat, Jamaica, Bolivia, Peru. I mean, just looking at probably the last place on all the Group C. I think it would have to be really, really bad losing the games in order for us not to make it. And I think we should be able to do that. But who knows? Obviously, we would play. People were saying that last time, and the horrible performance. But let's go ahead and talk about the list that came out. Everyone anticipating what Piojo. And we'll kind of go by it and analyze it here with the 23 players, and obviously 7 players that were supposed to be a 30 list that was given, and then there are some alternates there, and we'll be talking about that too. But Corona, Julio Cesar Dominguez from Cruz Azul. So I'm going to go by and give you guys all of the players by the list. So 3 players from Cruz Azul: Jesus Corona, Julio Cesar Dominguez, and Jerry Flores. Veracruz, Melitón Hernández. Toluca, Alfredo Talavera. From Santos, Mr. Adrián Aldrete. Efraín Velarde from Monterrey. George Corral from Querétaro. Mario Osuna, Querétaro also. 1 player from Tijuana, Mr. Johnny. Javier Güemes. Atlas with Juan Carlos Medina. 2 players from Guadalajara with Marco Fabián, who it doesn't matter what you do, Marco Fabián is always going to be there. And the Carlos Salcedo from Guadalajara. Pachuca, Miguel Herrera. Pumas with only 1 player with Lalo Herrera. León, only 1 player, Luis Montes. Enrique Esqueda for Tigres. Hugo Ayala for Tigres. Very, very surprise call-up from Matias Woso, even though we kind of saw it coming from all the rumors and also what Piojo said. Chiapas, obviously, his 5 goals were able to get him in from the across the pond with Chuy Corona, which is Tecatito Corona. From 20, Rafael Marquez, maybe seeing his last days with El Tri. Javier Aquino from Rayo Vallecano, and obviously Raúl Jiménez from Atletico Madrid. Interesting to see. Obviously, there's a list, and we'll be talking about the alternates. But right off the bat, when you're reading it, let's go to Tom. Tom, right off the bat, your impression on the list. What do you? I mean, is this going to be a competitive team, and we'll be able to make that splash in the Copa America?
Well, I think it's definite B team and B squad. I think that Herrera was indicating a few months back that it would be very much a mixed between put together two very good squads, and I don't think he's done that. I mean, I think that you look through that entire list, and I think only Rafa Marquez could you transfer to the Gold Cup squad, and he'd get minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the rest of them did get very few minutes. All right, Tecatito Corona might come on. Raúl Jiménez might come on, but I think this squad is overall weak with a few bright spots. I mean that's my initial impression, and you just look up front. Just pick an example. Obviously, Raúl Jiménez, very good player, Atletico Madrid. But then Eduardo Herrera, Vuoso, and Esqueda. I mean, really, when you could take you to the Gold Cup, Giovanni Dos Santos, Chicharito. Oribe Peralta and Vela, you know what I mean? Taking your four best strikers to the Gold Cup, and what's left is what's left. You know what I mean?
So you would have kind of wanted maybe, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but you wanted maybe a 2-2, kind of having Chicharito go, Chicharito and Vela up front with maybe a Gio to go to the Copa America, or not have the best.
Yeah.
You wanted like a full-on.
Well, if it was up to me, I'd go for Copa America because I think it's a better tournament. But let's not get into that conversation. Yeah. I think that you got to look at certain players. Jonathan Dos Santos, for example, he's going to go to the Gold Cup. Is he going to play? I mean, there has to be a big question mark. And then when you look at players like that, who you think 2-3 years time are going to be big parts of this national team, you think what's the point in him going to the Gold Cup? Obviously, if there's an injury, then he would step up. But like Peralta, you're just going to stick him on the bench of the Gold Cup because in all likelihood he's not going to play. Why not just put Esqueda in the Gold Cup and put Peralta there? Or why not put Giovanni Dos Santos and Raúl Jiménez together and see how they? I don't know. That's just my initial impression. It's weaker than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's there. I think we have to consider that Piojo's doing his job, and I think if his job means something can happen if he doesn't win the Gold Cup, you got to put all your eggs in one basket and making sure that you get that. I think he's taking the safe side and and making sure that he has the best backup for that A, and I think that's what he's doing, regardless if we like it or not. Copa Oro is a priority. Johnny, your take on the squad, looking at everything. I'm sure you have time to analyze it.
Yeah, like Tom said, it's not Mexico's best, but come on, we all knew that. Herrera and González Iñárritu told us that the stronger side would be going to Gold Cup. I also think Copa America is a more prestigious tournament, but Mexico has more at stake at the Gold Cup because they didn't win the last one. The tickets to Confederation Cups it's on the line. You even if you make history and you win Copa America, you don't get that Confederations ticket. Because we're an invite team. So yeah, it's like I said, I think they're gonna get out of the group. They might make the semifinals. It's tough to see them advance any further than that.
Looking at what everyone is coming out, Argentina, with their list, I could just imagine. I mean, there's no way we can compete. But who knows? These guys have a lot of heart. Let's see. Now, Mr. Jason?
Yeah, I think, similar kind of thing. I'm surprised there aren't a few more of those guys that are kind of like key to that Gold Cup moving over to the Copa America squad here. It is a little light. That forward position is strange. Like I was also looking at Peralta and looking at some of the people who are kind of in that 30 roster, those backup spots. A few of those guys you'd expect to be over in the 23, like Paquito, like Jürgen Damm, maybe even Brizuela. And Brizuela's tailed off of late his form, but still you kind of pencil him in a bit in Copa America. So a couple of those guys, I'm a little surprised, are on the outside. But I mean, overall, it's about what you'd expect. It's pretty weak. But yeah, some of those positions, midfield is some question marks what that line's going to look like, and the forward positions kind of you just shake your head at a bit.
I mean, just like Johnny said, that this was going to happen. We knew this was going to happen, and the fact that, like I keep saying, what Piojo wants to do is making sure that we're getting that Confederation Cup ticket and at least playing for it against the U.S. But
I thought it might be like a bit more exciting. You know what I mean? And when I say that, I mean like Jason mentioned, then Dam in there or Ponchito Gonzalez from Atlas, like kind of a couple of those. I know Gonzalez is eligible for the Olympics, but maybe even Kubo in there, just to see a couple of these under 23s, like Salcedo, I think is brilliant. I think it's an absolutely great opportunity for Chivas centre back Carlos Salcedo to show himself. But I thought, and I'm excited about seeing him in that competition against absolutely top players, and like you said, Weasel opening up, what a great competition it is. And I just feel like Montes, I really like Montes. Obviously, really disappointed he missed out on the World Cup last year. But it's like, instead of playing Montes, why not Ponchito? Because Ponchito realistically is the future.
But here's the debate. What benefits Ponchito? What benefits Cubo Torres the most? Playing Copa America or going through their natural process, which would be the Toulon tournament, which the dates kind of are right next to Copa America dates.
And the Pan America.
But I'd argue that with someone like Ponchito who's been through the whole process of the national team, the Copa America would be 100 times better for his development. Having the experience of going to a major tournament with the first teams, with Messi, with Neymar, all these amazing players, and to actually have that experience, I'd argue is a lot better than him going to Toulon.
I think they're
come the Olympic times, what's Mexico's strength? What did Mexico use to defeat the big star nations? It's that teamwork, that chemistry.
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
you don't get that chemistry if you don't play all these tournaments together.
But at the end of the day, youth football at international level isn't about winning. It's not about winning the under-17s World Cup, the under-20 World Cup, the Olympics. It's about producing players that are going to take your full first team forward. And I think that you could argue that Mexico, the priority has been a bit wrong there in terms of focusing too much on winning these mini tournaments and there's been a problem in making those players then jump into the full team. I mean, that's just my opinion. But I mean, I think someone like Ponchito,
that could be the other side of it, as in where like we're winning these youth tournaments and doing really well out at the Olympics. Is it taking that time away from making that jump? So that's a good argument, Tom. But I mean, Jurgen Damm, if he doesn't go to one of the tournaments, one of these two is going to be, for me, I think that's probably my key person that's that's missing out. I think Jurgen Damm should be in one of the lists, and I would have thought that would have been either Copa America. If he is going to that Panamericanos, I think we can do it without Jurgen Damm. There's a talent there. I just think that he should be there, unless he's going to be one of the Copa Oro guys too.
The thing is,
go on, Jason. Sorry.
If you're going to have question marks, why not have young question marks? Why not put those guys in, get them experience now when it is not a tournament that you need to win? You go in and you get guys experience and put in a good showing. I mean, that makes total sense, and why it's not happening is a little strange. Some of those guys missing out.
Yeah, I know I'm being really negative now, so I promise I'll be positive in a minute. But another thing, it's like Buoso. I know that in the next month or leading up to this Copa America, he's going to get so much stick on social media, and people are going to say stuff, and he's got that kind of aura about him where people make fun of him a bit, and the fact that he's in, I think people have made fun of. But at the end of the day, it's not his fault. And I think that it does highlight that there is a bit of lack of depth up front for Mexico. I mean, you look at the squad and you think, wow, really, Barroso, 33 years old, and he's still in there. Esqueda, who was at Atlas, so I saw him regularly last season. Obviously he's playing really well for Tigres. He's had his history. He's done well before. But honestly, he's played well for like 3 months, and all of a sudden he's in the Copa America squad. I think it question marks about the depth of the squad as well.
I
Yeah,
think Esqueda was brought in just because of what he's doing in Tigres, having
there is
opportunity with South American teams, and he's doing
I
well with it.
I agree. There is a lack of depth in the striker position, and if you don't take, since there's no real depth, you have to take whoever's in best form right now. And
Yeah.
Wolso's at a decent form. I'm not gonna say he's playing great out of his mind, but he's at a decent form, and he has that international experience. He's been with Mexico before. He's been in high pressured situations before. He scored a goal that got us
Canada.
qualification. Yeah, got us qualification into the hexagonal. So when you don't have that depth, when you don't have that player pool, you have to bring in who's ever in the best form. And I think Esqueda's form. I don't think there's a striker in better form in the Mexican league right now than being Mexican than Esqueda.
The questions I have, I mean, is there anybody? Let's go ahead and just go into this really quickly. I mean, Wolso is everybody's question mark, right? Wolso is a person that has been with the national team with Sven-Goran Eriksson, did give him that, but then just kind of dropped off. A lot of different teams. Now finally scoring some goals. He does have. I think we know what Wolso can do. Is there a better player out there, and that's not on this list that could have taken Wolso's spot? Especially naturalizado, maybe Damian Alvarez, another naturalizado that's doing okay. But is there anybody else, Johnny? And that's what you shared. Is there anybody else?
No, I mean, I think Johnny's right what he said. I mean, and it's what I said as well. It's not Warsa's fault. He's had quite a good season. You know what I mean? I just think Chulatita Orozco. He's had his chances with under Miguel Herrera. He's just completely not taken them. Chivas. I mean, come on. It's like the second. It's Omar Bravo, Aldo De Negris, and Cubo. I mean, someone like De Negris would have been
I could see Bravo
injury prone at the minute.
I would definitely not have a problem with Bravo being there over Wolso, but I think they're about the same player.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll never forgive Bravo for that penalty kick he missed in the World Cup. Let's go. I mean, let's talk about what are the question marks. Rafa Marquez, obviously looking to be one of his last tournaments. From what I saw, there was some. He asked, in the beginning, a couple months back, González Iñárritu and also Piojo stated that they're going to give Rafa the choice of which one to go. From personal things that he wants to do or scheduling, from what I read, he obviously chose the Copa America. Do you think that's the right decision to choose the Copa America over the Copa Oro if you're Rafa Marquez, not having the greatest of years in Italy right now, saying goodbye mostly, or was he? I mean, this is his leadership. Is this the leader that they're going to take? Is this the Salcido that kind of helped out in the Olympics, or what? And does Rafa even have the talent for him to be there? Looking at our defense,
I think that it's interesting. I really do. I mean, I think it's a strange one, to be honest. I really think that the whole bulk of that World Cup team from like 12 months ago is going to be there at the Gold Cup, and then apart from Rafa Marquez, he's just for some reason just at the Copa America.
Tom, you there? I think we have. I think Tom kind of went off. Yep, he cut off. Sorry about that. We'll continue. Oh, never mind. He's coming back in and out, in and out. All right, Tom, if you come back, if you can hear us, you're cutting in and out. So we'll go by kind of same question, Johnny and Jason. With Rafa might be in there, and Tom was kind of saying, it's a little awkward for him to be there. If he's the one that chose, I mean, if he was given a choice for him to go on his last Copa America, I mean, is he better than Hector Moreno? I mean, would we want to have Hector Moreno in the Gold Cup? Looking at the age, looking at Rafa's age, making sure that's the way going forward with the first team. Johnny?
I don't. Rafa Marquez, even his prime, I really don't know what to expect from him. He can deliver important goals. He can deliver you a red card or a penalty, or and sometimes all three in one game. But I think it's very important for this B squad. Let's I know you say you don't like to put labels on it, but let's be honest, it's a B squad. It's important for this B squad to have that veteran leadership, that I'll even say talented leadership that Rafa brings. So I like the fact that he's in Copa America. I think Copa Oro, even Copa Oro, I think since it's gonna be the strong squad, he might be even a little too slow for that squad.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're all betting for Copa Oro and Copa America is the rest of the best of the rest, I fully agree with Marquez being there.
Tom, you're back. I think you cut off a little bit. You were going into Rafa Marquez. You thought it was weird. When finish, go ahead and then you got cut off.
Yeah, I mean, it is a strange decision. I mean, there's the rumours about Carlos Vela problems, but I don't think that's got anything to do with it. I think that there's family reasons. Obviously, he'd also probably missed the pre-season at Hellas Verona, which I think is important to him at this stage of his career. It's not so easy when you're 36-year-old to skip the pre-season like that. So, but still, there's no one thing where you think like, oh, that's why he's there. I mean, the whole of the World Cup team from 12 months ago is going to be at the Gold Cup, and it seems weird to not have Rafa Marquez there. But the flip side of that, I think it's a great opportunity for Diego Reyes at the Gold Cup. But then, it's like all these players who need something to prove, something. It's like Diego Reyes, if he plays well at the Copa America, for me, it's worth twice as much as playing well at the Gold Cup.
Yeah, I think by the FMF release, I think it was a tweet that Diego Reyes. I mean, they were wanting to have him for both tournaments. Yeah. Just like Tecatito, and it wasn't allowed because of the preseason and what's going on. So we'd be seeing him in there. But Jason, I mean, Rafa Marquez. I mean, once again, I think he was also there because of his leadership. I think it was a mutual. If you're kind of on your way out, but yeah, you can still give that leadership out, and still is obviously competing because he is in Italy. I think Copa America would be, in my opinion, the ideal tournament. What do you think?
Yeah, it's weird, but it makes sense. Like I understand it completely. I understand why he picked it. I mean, not going and playing in the U.S., being in some groups that he's not like totally. I mean, like he's playing against inferior competition than he would be in Copa America. So he's going and playing with like a more elite competition, bigger profile, and playing with these younger guys. But you can see why he's there. And like you guys mentioned, I mean, just massive for Reyes. Like we've been saying for a long time how much Mexico needs him, and it's going to be really evident this summer how much Mexico needs him in that position. Needs him to step up, and we saw glimpses of it recently. So hopefully that continues. But he's definitely going to be needed. I wonder what the backup position is going to be like. Who's the other option for Reyes in the Gold Cup at this point? I mean, it's a bit off topic at this point, but I mean, is it? I don't know. I don't know who else is in that spot.
Mir. Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mir has. I thought he was. The reason why he was left off because it was kind of injury. What Israel, the press guy was saying.
But talking about centre back positions, there's no left-sided centre back. There's no left-footed centre back. Sorry. So there's not much balance there. I thought he might include one at least, but he hasn't.
Yeah, definitely. And this is I just kind of have this question.
Left, though, right?
Pardon?
Cata Dominguez usually plays on the left, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's not perfect, but.
No, but and Salcedo played on the left against the United States, so he has got options, and Ayala I think is quite flexible as well. But the point is, there is a real lack of depth in that position because I imagine Alanis will go to the Gold Cup and be the backup for Hector Moreno. Mm-hmm. But beyond him, it's like Venegas. That's not great.
Reynoso. Looking at, and this is a question: will there be any players that are going to repeat on the squads from Liga MX? Can we see Salcedo play two tournaments? Can we?
No, I don't. I think it's too early for him. I think.
No. I'm just giving an example of players that can play both. Just that we need, I think that's what you answered it. It's like there's not the player from this squad that is probably good enough, but can we take anybody from here that can probably make it to the squad? And whose spot are you taking out? I guess that was my question.
No, I think if there's any position, it'll be in defence.
Rafa goes to both.
But just because I think that's where Mexico struggle most for
Hugo Ayala
some
could
difficulty.
go to both. Hugo Ayala could be a backup at Copa Oro. But,
or someone like Aldrete.
But then again,
one of the wing backs.
Tigres will be competing in hopefully in the the latter stages of Copa Libertadores after the Copa America. So we don't know if Tigres will want their player to be in the two tournaments.
Well, I'd be interested to see. You got to look at those dates to see during the Copa America.
Yeah, wait. I just want to bring something up about like more positive point.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Because Mexico Debbie Downer today.
I like negative Tom.
Eh?
Negative,
I like negative Tom.
Negative Tom. Go ahead, Tom.
Just being honest. But right. So I think now you've got. I know we've mentioned Ponchito and Damon were disappointed they're not in. But on the positive side, Carlos Salcedo, Chivas, he already had interest from, or scouts watch him at least from the Dutch league. And I think playing the Copa America is a massive boost for him. I mean, it's such a window of opportunity for him in particular. And then I think Güemes as well. I really like Güemes. I've liked him the last couple of years, and I think that he's another player who I think could really excel and could catch a few eyes in Europe. Tecatito Corona, we don't know what's going to happen with him in 20, but the very fact that 20 are letting him play both tournaments suggests that they want to raise his profile as much as they can.
Let's be honest.
To potentially sell him in the future.
The reason why he's playing both tournaments is so he doesn't gain so much weight like last year.
No, I honestly reckon that they want him out there. They want him in the profile so that, and that's especially the case in the Copa America. Because I think Tecatito Corona is a player who could really blow up this summer.
Yeah.
Going back to Carlos Salcedo, and if I think the most important thing to keep in mind is if he gets picked up by a European team and leaves Chivas, he's free to become an Americanista again, to tweet out all the goals, celebrating all the America goals again.
Yeah. So
interesting, that's what Johnny picks up.
So yeah, and a couple of other points. Aquino, his club position at Rayo Vallecano, obviously is on loan from Villarreal. He could really do with a massive boost from this tournament. And the other one's Raúl Jiménez. His club futures, maybe in doubt. Possibility that, is he going to stay at Atletico Madrid? Will they loan him out in the summer? How he performs in the Copa America, because we know he's definitely going to be a starter. How he performed in the Copa America could go a long way to decide to make up Simeone's mind. And then obviously Barroso, European scouts will be lining up to see what he can do, and maybe a big move to Liverpool, Manchester United, Real Madrid.
Did you say Barroso?
That was supposed to be a joke. That was supposed to be a joke.
I seriously, I'm like, I'm looking for somebody else's name. I'm like, no, I think he did just say Barroso.
Supposed to be a joke, but you just went.
No, I didn't
took it seriously.
I didn't hear you say Bosa, but I thought, I'm like, did he just say Bosa? Let me hear what he just said, and then I go, wait a second, there's no one with a name that sounds like Bosa. Funny. You have that serious face, Tom. You have that serious face. Yeah, obviously we've been saying it. We wanting the Dos Santos. We wanted the Gios to go to both tournaments, obviously to raise their stocks, and there's a lot of scouts who were doing that. So that's a positive for Tom. But will they get playing time? Since they weren't doing so great, are they going to come to Copa America and not have the greatest of training because they're not getting any playing time, and will they be able to play? Having Jimenez out there, and all of a sudden he's not doing what he's supposed to do in the first game, and all of a sudden Esqueda comes in there, or Ladovero outdoes him. There you go. So it's going to be a negative impact because they're not playing. So it'll be. I mean, it kind of goes back out there, just like Aquino. We talked a little bit about the defense, kind of the mid. Of who we see. And I think the midfield is what everybody's kind of tweeting about on what that would be. I think we have, if any of the defense and forwards, I think the mid is safe to say that it's probably the best out of the three. Actually, maybe Corona being in the goal. But who do you guys have? Interesting to see. For me, Negrito Medina has been doing it well, and I think he's no question for me that he's a starter in that position that I have. But who do you have? Adding that Luis Montes is in there, Tecatito, if you would like to play him, Aquino, Güemes in that mix, obviously, in that 5-3-2 that he likes to do, or having someone in and sneaking in maybe there. But what do you guys have?
I have a hard time looking at this midfield and kind of figuring out who would the starting three be. I would think actually I'd go with Güemes as the defensive mid there. I like his game a lot. Medina, I'm not completely sold on as a defensive midfielder all the time. And Tecatito, I think, is probably a starter that you would just pencil in at this point. Just the quality is overwhelming. But that other position, I have a really hard time figuring out who to put there. I mean, is it Fabian? Like, maybe, but like, I kind of get worried about a midfield with Fabian Tecatito coming in and not a ton. I mean, it's just very forward-going, goal-scoring midfield, and not a lot of holding the ball and working the ball, all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, like, but who is like Montes? Like that's not really different. It's kind of the same. You could go with. I mean, I would even maybe consider putting Medina in there as well and putting him forward because I mean, like we mentioned earlier, like he played forward a bit. I forget what game that was. Was that Paraguay or something like that? Like he did play forward a bit, so you could see him going in there. I don't know. It's a big question mark. What it might look like.
Interesting to see. Well, I think it's outside. We have Montes, Tecatito, Fabian. And it's like it feels like players that can play almost the same position. And with that, will that change Piojo's outlook? Will he really stick with his 5-3-2, or kind of a 4-4-2 with that defensive mid, kind of doing those both roles? So it'll be interesting to see what he has. Tom, who do you have in the midfield?
Yeah, I think Güemes will definitely be the holding midfielder. Just going off the games that the Mexico played, the friendly matches, I think Miguel Herrera really likes him. So I think he's going to stick with him. And I think the other definite, I think, is Tecatito.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's definitely going to be along there. And I think that's a nice balance because Güemes is ultra defensive, very much defense first. And then the other one's the difficult one. And I think it might even depend on who Mexico are playing between Marco Fabian and Medina. I think Montes has got a lot to do to come back. I think it depends on the friendly games coming into the tournament. But the fact he's not played much and stuff like that, I think will affect him. And it's up to him to earn that spot. He did it before the World Cup, but I see Montes just behind. And Aquino, I mean, I don't even know what to say about Aquino. I mean, I don't know where he fits.
Does not fit.
I mean, when he's played with the national team under Herrera, he hasn't looked very good, and it's not all his fault. I mean, I don't think there's a winger. There's no winger position, and he's very much a winger, like in the 4-3-3.
He's a complete winger.
And that's not the same with Tecatito, because in the under-20s World Cup, Tecatito played like as a number 10. So Tecatito's got a bit more in his armoury. He knows how to play down the centre. And Aquino, you just can't imagine him playing in a number 10 role. I mean, it is interesting. The other thing about Tecatito, like just mentioning that, is that he could be moved up front at some point in the tournament.
Yeah, I saw that Tecatito moving that forward, and the thing with Aquino is that you don't see him like a Jerry Flores. You don't see what that you could put him in the back. Obviously, it's just that true winger position gets lost. Guardado obviously had that true winger position before, but he can do multiple functions where you can put him in the middle, and even then you can even put him at left back if you really needed to. But or a Jonathan Dos Santos where you have those three. But Aquino is like that old style, perfect Chepo 4-4-2, run back and forth in the middle. It's interesting to see. Jason, you agree with the Güemes, or I mean, are you going with Negrito Medina?
Definitely Güemes. I think he's just a higher quality in that position. I just think he's true for that position, not necessarily Medina.
And Medina's been playing really well for Atlas recently. I mean, really well. I mean, after that injury for the World Cup, he's really come back. But he's been playing further forward.
Yeah.
So he's been. Chato Rodriguez has been the holder, and then he's been given license to go, and it's really suited him.
But under Herrera's system, even at America, Negrito Medina, he took the spot of Jesus Molina, who's a straight-out defensive midfielder.
Speaking of Jesus Molina,
and he played in that position. You know, Negrito Medina was the holding midfielder for Herrera's 5-3-2 system. Because he offers you that balance. He's good defensively, but he can push forward. So he offers you that balance in the defensive midfielder position. And in front of Medina, I think it's going to be Tecatito Corona, and then between Fabian and Montes. It depends on the opponent. It depends on who was better at practice, but I think you get the same thing out of both of them.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. And looking at the America argument and what Medina's on is that holding midfield is very, very important in that 5-3-2, and we're seeing that. So, and I think with Medina, when he did that against New Zealand, looking at the weaker teams, looking at make sure you have possessions, will be there. But interesting to see. I mean, I think the midfield is, I feel like it's most talented, but I also feel it will be interesting of what Piojo is actually going to do. But up top, there's, again, who's in better form with Jimenez, Esqueda, and Lalo Herrera, and Bozo. I don't know. I mean, I really can't tell you. I would say that it'd be Jimenez and Lalo Herrera from what Lalo's done, and also Jimenez obviously playing, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Esqueda and Jimenez. And, Miguel, I've never been a fan of this option, but Herrera still has that option of playing Jimenez as a striker and Marco Fabian as a second striker.
Yeah, or Tecatito.
Yeah, which would open up the midfield. But another thing that I think is interesting going to the other side of the pitch is obviously Jesus Corona has lost out on that starting spot in the Gold Cup, the A team, to Ochoa. I know we've gone through this argument so many times and it gets a bit boring, but it is worth pointing out.
That's fun for me.
He can't. For me, from my point of view, he can't have done any more this season than he has with Cruz Azul. Because as bad as Cruz Azul has been, for me, he's been brilliant. Like the best keeper in the Liga MX this season. So he must be secretly really disappointed somewhere.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I mean, if knowing what the problems that they've had, and he wasn't picked, I think Corona is glad that he's going to get to play, because we know he's not going to play, but now he's going to go and show how great he is and what he's going to do, and I think he's going to do a great job. Well, I really don't think he's that disappointed. Obviously, he's not getting that first shot, but he knows, and he already had that talk. Piojo's had that talk. Memo's who I'm going to go with, and then
but I mean, he's a professional player. He's an international footballer. He'll have an ego.
He's probably not
damaged.
And he's going to the South American, the best tournament in the world right now.
As Mexico's number 2.
And you know what? If you think he's disappointed right now, he's definitely going to be disappointed next year when it's only one tournament and he's going to be on the bench at the Copa America when Ochoa is playing.
Yeah, which will be absolutely distraught about. And the fact is, you look at that tournament and Herrera will be saying to him, Chewy, play well in this Copa America, and next year you can get that number 1 spot.
Don't put words in Piojo's mouth.
How he can't do that though. There's no way that he can win that starting spot because he can't do more than he's done this season, and Ochoa can't have done less than he has in the last few months. He hasn't played. You know what I mean? It's like if Corona isn't number 1 now, he's never ever going to be number 1. And that must make him.
That is.
Right?
Look at Memo. I mean, however he's been underneath, and he's finally got this World Cup after so many years. That is the goalkeeping position. It's either you have it and you're in the moments or not. I mean, last Gold Cup, who's the keeper position? In the 2011, in 2011, it wasn't Corona, it wasn't Ochoa. So I mean, I know the Clembuterol problem and Chuy hitting everybody affected it, but I mean, it's the moments that you have and you take advantage, and who knows? What's really gonna suck or stink is that something happens and Memo gets injured. Corona already played the Copa America, and bam, you have whoever.
You're going to have Moises Munoz, which is not a bad option either.
Well, this is another thing. If I'm Memo Ochoa, I think I would have preferred Copa America, knowing that, because we know his problems with Malaga. One of the problems that when he came in at Malaga was that he missed the preseason, and Kameni was already in there in the coach's, in his pecking order. And so there's that. The other thing is, if he is going to move, and I know there's people who back Ochoa to the hilt and say, oh, he's the best keeper, this and that, and Johnny Rico's one of the primary members of that club. But in Europe, there's a reason why he's not gone to a bigger club than Malaga. There's a reason that he's on the bench for Malaga. That's not me saying that. That's just logic. Logic says that people have doubts
the
about
reason
it.
he's not in there is as a coach. I mean, we know, and Kameni is a good keeper, and he's seeing that what it is.
But I feel like people sometimes don't acknowledge that Ochoa isn't the best keeper in the world. He still has work to do, and people have doubts. He played for Ajaccio, like the worst team in France, like one of the ones with the lowest budget. He then moved to Malaga, and he's on the bench. And I'm not saying he's a bad keeper. I think he's a very good keeper, but if I'm him, I want to play in Copa America, and I want to play against the good teams. I want to have shots to save, because at the end of the day, Mexico in the group stage in the Gold Cup, they should have very few shots. Ochoa should be just on holiday, really. I mean,
but that's Tom. You're taking it as three different. You cannot be the coach. You cannot be the player when you're making a decision. It's like it changes. If you're gonna take the best, if you're the coach, you gotta take the best. You think Ochoa is the best, you gotta take him.
No,
if you're Ochoa,
I'll take that pass. I'll take that pass and go into Ochoa's mindset. At the end of the day, the Copa America team is going to be eliminated. And at the end of the day, the Copa Oro team is looking to raise a trophy. So I think it'll go a lot further to help Ochoa find a better team raising a trophy.
I don't think so, because I think that if you look at it from a European standpoint, the Copa America is like 20 times. There'll be like 20 times more scouts watching it, 20 times more importance, and then a scout will watch, Mexico against Cuba in the Gold Cup. They'll be like, what are they going to learn from it? And I don't know. It's just a thought. It's not. It's just a.
Cool.
If I'm not sure, I'd want to go to the Copa
after
America.
the group stage. Has anybody done? And this will be interesting. After the group stage, let's say if we come in first, who's the second team that they'll be facing? Looking at where we're at. I mean, we could just. That's an interesting point that Johnny said. We get eliminated. There goes. Ochoa's chances. Anyways, we didn't get to play Brazil and Argentina.
It all depends, because I think the best first place will go up against the second worst second place or third place. So we have no idea who our next round rival would be. But
I think like 3B or 2B.
Yeah. So, but I think
sorry.
Yeah, I think the last impression someone will get of Mexico at the end of Copa America is not going to be a positive one, and I think Ochoa not being there, I think that's a very good thing.
There you go. Another way to see. No, but I definitely see that, Tom. I mean, looking at why wouldn't he go there?
This way, Ochoa now, what is he? 30. He needs his last
29.
29.
Won't be 30 till June. Won't be 30 till June.
Okay.
It's on your calendar.
Ochoa's bad, all right? Happy birthday to Giovanni Dos Santos, by the way.
But he's 30 now. He needs to do something with his career. I'm not saying he's not done anything, but in terms of his club career, he needs to now be doing something with it, and I think that's really important for him. He's not getting any younger, put it that way. He's not the kid at America anymore.
But I mean, the truth is, the matter, I mean, my impression is that with goalkeepers and to succeed in Europe, it's just they have to be that much better than European goalkeepers, because I think most teams don't want to get someone who doesn't have that European passport in the keeper's position. They just have to be that much better, and I mean, it makes it the onus is even harder for someone to really succeed over there. So I mean, I think Ochoa is certainly quality enough to be at a bigger team than he's at, but I mean, it's just the position he's in, where he's in the small clubs, and he's not getting the chance to prove himself, really, to take that next step up. And he can do it, but I agree with Tom. I think if he was in this Copa America squad, he'd have the chance to put on a show. He's going to get more shots, going to have opportunities to recreate that magic that he had against Brazil, and more European scouts watching, more eyes looking on the Copa America than there will be on the Gold Cup. So, opportunity missed for him. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter for the teams all that much.
No, you're gonna have your best keeper, and if the coach thinks that's the best keeper, then that's what you have. He chose correctly when he took Ochoa to the World Cup, even though he was playing in the worst team in France, and he did amazing. He was one of the best keepers in the World Cup, and then now, yes, he is there at obviously with not playing and coming to be on top. Here's gonna come back. They're gonna have that training camp. He's gonna go in there. I'm with Johnny. It looks like Johnny today. We agree. These two guys. Definitely not.
Doesn't that scare you?
That is pretty scary. Pretty scary. But just overall, I mean, I'll ask the question: who is left off? Who do you think that should be in this list? The problem with that is we go into it. Are they left off because they're not good enough and we fear someone to substitute? Or are they getting left off because they're going to have a chance for Copa Oro? You know, and those are back. It's kind of harder.
Yeah, I mean, you can throw out names like Pereira in Chivas, Chaca Rodriguez at Chiapas. You know, these names, but we don't know if they're going to be in that final Gold Cup squad, backing up the starters. So it is complicated. It is complicated to predict.
No, I'm good calling this the best of the rest. I don't think any of the other rest are better than this rest.
Damian Alvarez.
No, but the same thing with Aquino. Damian Alvarez is a winger. Where in Piojo's system would you put Damian Alvarez?
Yeah, it's a good point. He is playing brilliantly as well, to be fair to him, but he's 35 as well, so it's like, really, what's that?
He's had these little stints, though, of like having really, really good, 6-7 months, and then he's been with El Tri. I mean, nothing notable that, that Chilindrina's done, so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I mean, if you're not taking Jurgen Damm, you'd be a bit disappointed if Alvarez wouldn't win.
I've mentioned it before, but I could have seen the spot for Javier Gandolfi. But you have Rafa Marquez's leadership. I wasn't counting on that before. But I think Javier Gandolfi could have offered you some good options.
I don't understand why Jesus Zavala is not there.
Torado.
And who else am I missing?
Are you trying to build Chivas' next squad? The refuerzos for Chivas?
That's right.
Which of the Panamericanos do you think should be other than maybe Cubo Torres?
Yeah, Cubo Torres, but we mentioned it earlier. I believe that he's better served at the Toulon tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of see where we're at. So that's going to be interesting to see all of those players. I'll be surprised. I think the worst, left off would be Jurgen Damm. That's probably my question mark, and at least in this tournament, unless he is going to go to Copa Oro. Is he good enough to be in Copa Oro? Maybe he takes a chance on him on his speed, especially against the competition where we do have. One last question. Anybody in the squad that obviously shouldn't be there?
Should be there.
I mean, very big. Two different questions, kind of the same, but kind of like that. I don't see. I don't know. Yeah. Looking at the.
I
don't know. Like, we could talk about the third goalkeeper position, but it's so relevant that I don't know. It's just not good enough, but it really doesn't matter. So.
Yeah.
You need 3 goalkeepers. It's a rule.
Yeah. I think there. You could say for a number of players that they've got a lot to prove. That's putting a positive spin on it. Corral, Miguel Herrera from Pachuca, Jerry Flores at this level has still got something to prove.
And I agree. I agree. There's that.
I think all these players you could be like these international quality, and Osuna, Vuoso at 33 years old, Esqueda, Herrera. Are these international quality players?
You bring up Corral, and I think he does have a lot to prove. He has a big shadow to step out of, because his sister is the star of the women's team.
Brothers and sisters, first time.
Yeah, Charlene Corral, so the one family member that's been getting the most success in soccer. Now it's time for George to step up. Club America Youth product, by the way.
Yeah.
BTW. Yeah, interesting to see because it's hard to predict since we already know the Copa Oro. Question: the Copa Oro list after the Copa America or during would that come out?
Oh, I can't remember. I think it's in June, off the top of my head.
Yeah, we're looking to see what's up.
It's probably during. But I mean, let's just a final point. I mean, I think we've got this squad out today, the Copa America, but obviously the Gold Cup, Pan American Games. It's such a busy summer. Think about Miguel Herrera. I mean, he's going to be absolutely, 3 friendlies before the Copa America, a few friendlies before the Gold Cup. He might not actually be at a couple of them, depending on how well Tri does at the Copa America. But I think mentally and physically for him, it's going to be a really, really tough next few months.
Yeah. Looking at that, I think there's a game that's scheduled right before the final. So if we're at the final of the Copa America, there's gonna be one friendly where Mexico's not gonna make it. But let's hope so. Let's hope we have that problem. All right. Let's hope to see that. A little change tonight. Sometimes we can't predict. Obviously, we have a lot of insight in the Copa America and what we have. We're going to try to do another show either tomorrow or either early on Wednesday, so please stay tuned. We have a lot to talk about with the Liga MX, the Descenso, so it's not because we didn't want to go over it today, but I felt like the conversation kept going, everyone talking about it, so this was our official Copa America List show. So throw it to you guys. I know, you guys will be available tomorrow. Johnny, I know you have nothing to do. Tom said that he would jump on it. Check with Cesar and Jason and see when we can do this, but maybe a show tomorrow or an early Wednesday, depends on the time, so definitely stay in there. Last thoughts, really quickly, on Copa America and the list. I think I started it with, this is going to be a competitive, I think it's better, I think we're going to do better, I think we're going to get out of the group, I really do think so. I don't know if it's going to get us to that semifinals that we wanted, and who knows where they go. It looks like everyone has that quality if they play together, they play 100% what they can do. But this is Copa America. It's not playing around, so I think it's interesting to you guys. Final thoughts on the Copa America list to all 3 of you before we go.
I think it's good enough to scrape out the group, and then I think that I don't think Mexico are going to be able to win the group, and I think it's absolutely key that they win the group, because if they don't, then it's very likely they're going to play Brazil or Colombia. And I think, that'll be the end. It would be unbelievable if Mexico had sent the first team and that was the situation and they did come across those kind of teams. But fortunately, that's just not the way it goes.
Johnny, final thoughts?
Final thoughts is, the comments here on the YouTube channel. Someone's proposing a drinking game where everybody drinks whenever I make an America reference. That could be dangerous.
I love the final comments. Jason?
It's just, I don't know, you have a team heading to, it's almost a predestined team for getting out of the group and losing to Brazil or Colombia at this point. So, not super exciting. So hopefully we see something that, provides some sort of a spark or something that is interesting in some way.
There you go. I'm feeling there's going to be injuries. This isn't the final list. Someone of the 7, which we didn't really go over, the 7 that, let me say them really quickly, the 7 that are the suplentes. Enrique Perez, Alfonso Gonzalez, Isaac Brizuela, which, not even making it a squad would be very, very surprising. Jürgen Damm, Rodrigo Salinas, Luis Fuentes, and David Cabrera. Out of those 7, this is supposed to be the worst out of the best. The only ones I can see, Isaac Brizuela, Jürgen Damm.
And you know what? I like the fact that there's a 23-man roster and then 7 alternates, because today CONMEBOL said everybody needed to put out a 30-man roster, and then along the way you'll cut 7. And I like the fact how Piojo does things, and he doesn't get anyone's hopes up that way.
Yeah, and I honestly, Isaac Brizuela and Jürgen Damm, I would have thought they would have kept them in, but for who? So for whom? So interesting to see, but I'm thinking just like a lot of injuries that were going on before in the last couple months. Which one of these guys? We already cited Mier said that there were some problems there, and that's why he wasn't able to be on the squad, especially this one right now. So interesting to see. Thank you to all on the chats. Thank you to the usual Tony Medina, Leonardo, Joel, Pancho Villa's Army, who's always with us in every show. Thank them. But lots of conversation. Luis and obviously Naib, who couldn't join us on the show, but he's there on the show on the chat. So lots of stuff going on. Interesting questions going back. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. This has been another Mexican Soccer Show. We promise to have another show exactly before the Wednesdays. Lots to talk about. Also, Champions League, Chicharito hopefully coming back to the starting 11. Benzema right there, ready to take his place. But lots and lots of football this week, especially with the Liguilla starting for all of you guys that have their team in the Liguilla. But nevertheless, fun times. Last words. Oh, you know what? I gotta say something really quick. Last show, I asked guys to give me a quote so I can end the show, and there was only one person that said it. Final whistle has been blown. I like that. That's the way to kind of end the show. So tell us. We're looking for a little quote at the end that we can say. That way we can finally end the show. But last thoughts for you guys. Johnny, get better, and or Tom or Jason. Any last words? Like, no.
I don't think I could top the whistle talk there.
Yes. All right, well, final whistle has been blown, ladies and gentlemen.
Tacos.
Bye, guys. See you in the next couple days.